YouTube, how the heck you doing? This is Query Watcher of Realms. Now we are back. Now we are heading into the new season, which is season 10 for just the normal Guild v Guild season, right? So we have a couple of things to go ahead and check out, namely what are the proper placements for the keeps. So this is going to be like one specific targeted video. I'm going to go ahead and test the Garnet guards, going to test mages, and then I'm also going to test archers just in general to see what are the proper placements for your units. And then secondarily, I'll go ahead and do a separate video, which is going to be for towers, just so I'm not just bogging down just like as much information as possible in one. At least it'll be a little bit more understandable, right? So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of set this up super quickly. Naturally, I want my Garnet guard to be number 1. I'm going to go set up my mages secondly. Let's do this. Mages here. This is fine. And then let's do archers. Bam. Cool. And then we should be pretty much good. I'm cool with this. Now, obviously, none of this is even close to max to fill. Yeah, these are just basically random affiliations. So let's just see what are the targets for the Garnet guards first, and then we're going to do the same thing for the mages. I would imagine a couple of things just off the bat. I would imagine. Actually, I'm curious. So they insta hit the Brook here. So that's interesting. Any unit here is automatically going to get hit. It looks like they don't hit the Helga, which makes sense based off their normal targeting. So nothing too crazy there. Now we're going to just drop double Garnet guards front tile because I don't really care too much. I would imagine they hit the Idril here and sniper down. So they do exactly that. It looks like they don't swap targets over here. Maybe because Helga. So we'll see. They don't swap. There we go. So they do just straight up target that tile, which is more than fine, to be expected, right? It looks like this tile and this tile seem to be relatively protected here, because they haven't swapped over to the Leia, and they haven't swapped over to the Lily. So it looks like that's a safe tile. Like these two are safe. Good to know. Now let's go ahead and do the mage test. Pretty standard here. We just drop double bookkeepers and see what they do. I would naturally imagine that Helga gets blown up here. Idril might also get blown up, but we'll see. 100% sure Helga dies though. Yep, Helga dies. Nothing too crazy there. Helga does go down. The next step is we are going to go ahead and see who gets targeted after Brook here dies. Probably going to be Idril that dies next. Do Banshee, just for the fun of it. Because Brook here is about to go die here. Okay. So good to know, right? Brook here dies. They target this tile. Okay. All that makes absolute sense. Nothing too startling there. Looks like archers will go ahead and target the tank tile in that particular setup. And then secondly, you see that the Garnet guards will target the tile that's basically adjacent to the tank. So nothing too dramatically different overall in terms of those placements. And then let's go ahead and do this other set of teams here. This is a little bit of the back tiles. And then I'm also going to do another team where I fully commit to the back portion over here just to see what tiles are being hit. Naturally with this setup though, I want to just see, I wonder if I should put a unit here. Let me hop out. I'm actually curious. I want to see if Aelin gets hit here. So I'm going to go put my Yuri like right there. And see if archers target that tile because they might. Let's go edit this team super quickly. Edit, deploy, and move the Yuri over to that one tile spot. So let's take Yuri. Cool. Good to go. All right, let's go ahead and attack it. I would imagine if it's similar to how last season was, the tile is hittable. But I just want to make sure before I just commit to saying yes, it gets hit. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to do the archer test. We're going to drop double archers, see if they hit the tile, and then we're going to go from there. So first thing, we have the ACOS drop. Whoop, I messed that up. There we go. Whatever. So does she get hit? She does. So this tile is a danger tile. You can't put a unit there. All right. Now that we have that out of the way, let's see if Garnet guards do the exact same thing. I imagine that they don't. Um, we shall see. They do. They actually just sniper straight out. So yeah, this tile is a dud tile. If archers and Garnets take it, then you can't bank on it. Then let's see the Nocturne tile. I would imagine that tile is also a danger tile. So yes, Garnet guards will hit this and this. Archers will hit this tile. So nothing too crazy on that end. Let's see if the archers will go ahead and hit Nocturne. I would imagine no, because what happens is archers typically get stuck on a target. So for example, they will hit the Yuri here. Nothing too crazy. And then they're essentially going to get stuck on Gone. Like, they will not swap targets over to this Nocturne here. Let's just double confirm that. Stuck on them. Yep. So they don't swap over. They get stuck on Gone from like over here once this unit's dead. So nothing too crazy. Archers are somewhat viable, but I don't think anybody's going to put a unit over here. So it is what it is. Then simple test is going to be double bookkeepers. With this in particular, I don't necessarily think that the bookkeepers are going to hit this tile. Interestingly enough, they hit this tile, right? So that means any healer here is also dead. So yeah, don't put anything here. If you put something here, you're basically kind of trolling because your entire team's going to die in the process. So that's a negative. Now also in a similar vein, right? Anything over here would also be subject to death because any bookkeeper would hit these tiles in particular, right? From the AoE splash damage. So not worth doing it. Do not recommend doing it. So we have a couple of dead tiles, right? Which is really just that tile that was up here and then also the tile that's down here. So that's good to know. Let's go ahead and do some quick adjustments to the overall team setup here so we can get the final round of placements through and see what is working and what doesn't work. So just as a really quick recap, right? This tile is a dead tile. This tile will be hit by archers at spawn, right? So that's the first thing. This tile is going to be hit by bookkeepers from AoE splash damage. This tile will also be hit by AoE bookkeepers, but it requires the tank to also be down. So nothing too dissimilar from what we have seen in the past in terms of that. Let's go ahead and put our tank back here. Let's go ahead and put our Lily here. Let's put our Helga here. Let's put our Leia here. And these are just all dummy placements, right? Nothing too crazy here. Looks very similar in some regard to how the last season was. Let's go ahead and save this. And then we're going to go ahead and do a pushback for all the other units here and see what we have going on. Deploy this. And then remove Gone. Aelin. This tile is a dead tile. Like anything here will go ahead and sabotage anything you have on this tile as well. Especially if it's bookkeepers, right? Because bookkeepers will hit this tile, knock this tile out. Archers will hit this tile is safe. Garnet guards will hit this tile is safe. So just as a quick note. And then we build the back team. Now, the back team is a little bit precarious because the crystal's here. There's a unit here. And units, I would imagine, probably don't get stuck. I feel like their pathing prioritizes this more so than this. It's actually a really weird placement. Weird. Let's go ahead and set this up. I'm going to put Aelin here, Ymrit here. I'm going to put Yuri here. I'm going to put Nocturne here. It doesn't matter because, let's be honest, Nocturne's going to die 9 times out of 10. Like, 9 times out of 9 times, right? 10 times out of 10 times. He's going to die. If I put Gone here, it's okay, but you're already out of range. And so you're already... This is just bad placement in general. It would just be bad placement. So, you put your tank here. You could put another unit here, but... yeah, let's do it. Because even Yuri being in this particular spot doesn't really provide us any benefit. I kind of want to see what the pathing is. So let's save this. And then let's add a physical damage unit. Remove Yuri. And I'll just go ahead and put Who do I not care about? Let's just put Talon. Yeah, let's just put Talon. Who cares? And let's see what happens here. So Talon, put her back tile here. Because I really want to see what the interaction is. Because the unit right here, they'll get stuck on. But what about here is the real question. So the main thing we're going to do is we're going to snipe out the Nocturne because that tile is obviously going to be a dead tile. And then we're going to go from there. So let's go do this. Wait. Let's test this first. Start battle. Alrighty. So first things first, archers. Archers are going to hit Brocare, get stuck on Brocare. I can already tell you that for a fact. They will not swap targets over, but just for the purpose of testing, right? They're probably going to start hitting like Brocare right around here. 3, 2, 1. Yep. Start hitting Brocare. So they're never going to swap over. Archers don't work for this placement. Good to know. The next one, which is kind of like the real test, is how do Garnet guards function? Because Garnet guards and Chaos Shaman have a similar targeting mechanic, right? So Garnet guards are going to hit it. That means the Chaos Shaman probably will as well. So Idril's probably dead here. Like probably dead, I would imagine. We get over here. Idril gets hit. That means if 2 Garnet guards were there, that means she would get hit. There we go. All right, so she is getting hit in this particular situation. So that's good to know. Really good to know. The next one is double bookkeepers. So this tile is technically a scary tile, but it works. It suffices, right? It's very similar to how it was last season, where you put Praetus, Lady Alexandra. Bam, how you doing, right? Super simple. Nothing too crazy. Now, the next one is double mages, which is going to blow up the Helga. This is just natural because the units are so close together here. And then Lily is also relatively safe, I would imagine. Goes ahead and blows him up. There we go. Now that that's down, let's do one final quick test where we drop the double garnets properly here. Tile 1, tile 2. And let's see if we just snipe this unit out and then see if we snipe the Lily. Because that's kind of like the main test. If Lily gets hit. Because if she does, then this entire thing doesn't work. All fine. I'm waiting for these garnets. There we go. So they go ahead. They hit the Idril. Let's see if they ever hit the Lily. I'm just going to let it run. Yep. They do. So this is also a dead tile. So these two are dead tiles. That means this entire section does not necessarily work. This placement is okay though. But then you're kind of placed into a really peculiar situation where you have 3 tiles that work and no other tiles that deal damage here that work. So, yeah, it's a problem. Definitely a problem. And then the final placement, which is going to be the back area over here, which we have the other team set up for. So let's go ahead and see how that works. I'm also going to test how the swarming works because I'm really curious as to the pathing of the units. That's kind of like the main thing here. Boom, boom, boom. Archers are going to get stuck on this tile, so it doesn't even matter. Only thing worth testing is maybe if Yimmer gets hit. So I guess I'll do it. But I'll put them like super low fill. Boom, boom. And then, where's my archers? There they are. Boom, boom. All right, let's see how this works. Go from there. The first test is we're going to see if the archers hit Ymrit. I wouldn't imagine so. I feel like their primary target is going to be the Dawn. 1, 2. Let this run through and see where we go from here. Archers are so slow. Alright, where do they target? Ah, they do target the Ymrit, which is interesting. Naturally, though, it doesn't necessarily matter as much because most people are going to have that unit at least be somewhat tanky. But archers do hit it, so that's good. If your archers are like stacked and jacked, then maybe they go ahead and kill out the unit outright, but not super likely. And then let's see here. Let's see if we can just insta swarm this and see how that performs in terms of the actual defense. So mages are going to blow up anything that's directly behind. That's why we go ahead and create some staggering here. We don't have the Ymrit right behind the Gon, so Ymrit is safe. Nocturne is going to die. Like, Nocturne will die from this. It's fine. So let's just go ahead, drop double Necros. Not too particularly concerned. And then we're going to drop the healer. Gon's going to go ahead and get all the extra tankiness and block from his ultimate, which is fine because we have all of these units that are going to stack up here, and we're going to have the healer because our main test is really, do the units get stuck on the Talon? I'm really curious about that. Let's slow this down here. So we have them getting stuck on the Ymrit. Do they get pathed over to Talon? Nope. They ignore Talon. They just go straight to the crystal. So, yeah, that's par for the course as to what I expected. But that is the overall placements as to where you can place your unit. So, just as a quick summary, right? Let's go ahead and pull it up. So, this tile is a dead tile. This tile is a dead tile. This tile is a dead tile. These tiles are technically dead tiles, to some degree, right? This tile is a dead tile. This tile is a dead tile. So these safe tiles are really this, 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 if your team is up here, but it's a little bit tricky because you don't have many placements available to you. This, and this. I could see a world in which teams are built like your tank is here, Ingrid or something's here, and then you go from there, but it's just tricky. But yeah, there's some variations for sure, but there's at least a couple of platform tiles that are viable overall. Even if you're building like piercers, 99% sure piercers reach over this little gap over here. Yep, those are your placements.